Most people think cybercrime investigation is simple. Someone gets hacked, they report it, the police trace the attacker, and the attacker gets arrested. But in the UK, cybercrime investigation does not work like that. In the real world, cybercrime is not one crime type, one police unit, or one investigation process. It is a national system that connects local police forces, specialist cyber units, the National Crime Agency, intelligence-led threat assessment, financial tracking, international cooperation, and a large amount of reporting infrastructure that most people do not even realize exists. In this video, I'm going to explain how UK cybercrime investigation actually works. Not as a TV version, but as a real-world operating model. We'll look at what action fraud actually is and why it exists, what the National Crime Agency actually does, how cybercrime is triaged and prioritised, how investigations are resourced, how evidence is collected and used, how cybercrime connects to fraud and money laundering, and why most cybercrime is never solved in the way victims expect. I'm going to do this with UK-specific detail and realistic scenarios, because if you want to understand cybercrime in the UK properly, you need to understand the UK system, not generic American law enforcement assumptions. Before we start, here is the simplest possible mental model. The UK has 3 parallel layers of cybercrime response. Layer 1 is reporting and victim support. This is where cybercrime enters the system through reporting channels like action fraud, through banks, through service providers, and through internal corporate security teams. Layer 2 is policing and investigation. This includes local police forces, regional specialist units, and national-level investigation capability. Layer 3 is national and international coordination. This is where the National Crime Agency, intelligence, and international partners come in. The key point is this: cybercrime investigation in the UK is not designed to solve every individual case. It is designed to reduce harm at national scale. That difference explains almost everything about how the system behaves. Quick note before we go deeper: if you want UK tech explained properly, not generic US takes, subscribe. This channel is building a UK-only map of how the country's digital infrastructure, national resilience, regulation, defense systems, and cybersecurity actually work. Now let's start with the most misunderstood part of the entire system: action fraud. Most people think action fraud is a police station. It is not. Action Fraud is the UK's national reporting centre for fraud and cybercrime. It exists because the UK realised something years ago. If cybercrime is reported separately to hundreds of local police forces, the country cannot see patterns. It cannot identify large-scale campaigns, and it cannot coordinate a national response. So instead, action fraud acts as a central intake system. Victims report online or by phone. Reports are standardized, data is collected, and then the reports are assessed and routed. This is where the next piece comes in: the National Fraud Intelligence Bureau, the NFIB. This is the part of the system that analyses action fraud reports. It looks for patterns, links, and repeat offenders. It tries to connect thousands of small incidents into larger criminal activity. Now, here is a hard truth: most action fraud reports do not turn into investigations, not because nobody cares, but because the UK is dealing with an industrial scale of fraud and cybercrime. There is not enough investigative capacity to treat every case as a criminal investigation, so the system prioritises. It prioritises cases where there is A clear investigative lead, a link to organised crime, a large number of victims, a high financial impact, a high public impact, or a national security angle. This is the first major misunderstanding victims have. Victims often think reporting is the same thing as opening a case. In the UK cybercrime system, reporting is often about intelligence and harm measurement, not immediate investigation. Now, if action fraud is the intake layer, what is the investigation layer? This is where the UK's policing structure matters. Because the UK does not have one police force, it has many. England and Wales have territorial police forces. Scotland has Police Scotland. Northern Ireland has the PSNI. And within these forces, cybercrime capability varies massively. Some forces have strong cyber teams, some have minimal capability. So the UK uses another layer, regional coordination. This is where Regional Organised Crime Units come in. ROCUs sit between local forces and national agencies. They support specialist investigations. They provide capabilities like digital forensics. They coordinate organised crime work across regions. And they often handle cases that are too complex for a local force, but do not require national-level intervention. Now we reach the top layer, the National Crime Agency, the NCA. The NCA is the UK's national agency for serious and organised crime. It is not just cyber. It covers many crime types, but cybercrime is now one of its major domains. The NCA is involved when cybercrime is high impact, linked to organised crime groups, international, technically complex, or strategically important. The NCA also plays a coordination role. It connects policing, intelligence, and international partners, and it supports the UK's national capability for tackling high-end cybercrime. Now, at this point, a lot of people ask a very reasonable question. If the NCA exists, why does cybercrime still feel unsolved? The answer is that most cybercrime is not a local crime. It is international, distributed, and designed to be hard to attribute. A ransomware group might be operating from another country, using infrastructure across many countries, using stolen identities, using cryptocurrency, and targeting victims across the world. So the UK system is not mainly trying to arrest individual hackers in every case. It is trying to disrupt criminal capability, and that leads to a different set of tactics. In the UK, cybercrime investigation is often about disruption, not prosecution. Disruption can mean taking down infrastructure, seizing servers, blocking domains, arresting key operators when possible, freezing assets, and working with partners to reduce the operational freedom of criminal groups. Now, I'm going to give you a human opinion here. This is one of the biggest psychological gaps in cybercrime. Victims want justice. They want the attacker caught. But law enforcement often focuses on preventing the next 1,000 victims. And those are not the same thing. Now let's talk about what cybercrime actually looks like in the UK system. Because cybercrime is not one category. In practice, the UK cybercrime ecosystem is dominated by fraud, not hacking. A large amount of cybercrime is phishing, account takeover, payment fraud, business email compromise, identity fraud, and scams. And that matters because the investigation methods are different. Fraud is often about money movement, not malware, so the real investigative core is financial tracking, banks, payment providers, suspicious activity reporting, and coordination between the private sector and law enforcement. This is why the UK cybercrime system is deeply connected to financial crime infrastructure. And if you watched my videos on UK payments and UK fraud detection, this is where everything connects. Now, let's make this concrete with realistic scenarios. Scenario 1. A small business gets hit by ransomware. Their files are encrypted. They cannot operate. They report to Action Fraud. They contact their insurer. They bring in IT support. Now, will the police investigate? In many cases, no. Not as a full investigation, because there may be no lead. The attacker may be overseas. And the case may not be solvable at the individual level, but the report still matters because it contributes to national intelligence, it helps identify campaigns, and it helps build a picture of threat activity. Scenario 2. A UK resident loses money in an online investment scam. They transfer funds to a fake platform. The money moves quickly through multiple accounts. This becomes a fraud investigation problem. Banks may be able to trace and freeze funds quickly in some cases, but after a certain point, the money is gone. Now, law enforcement might focus not on the individual scammer, but on the laundering network, because the laundering network is the scalable part. Scenario 3. A major UK organisation suffers a data breach. Customer data is stolen. The organisation notifies the ICO. They may notify the NCSC if it is significant. They may involve law enforcement. Now, the investigation focus might be who accessed the data, how they did it, what infrastructure they used, and whether this links to known threat actors. But again, the objective may be disruption and containment, not prosecution. Scenario 4. A coordinated attack targets UK infrastructure. This could be telecoms, energy, or government services. Now the response shifts. Because this is no longer mainly crime, it becomes a national resilience and national security problem. At this point, the NCSC may coordinate on the defensive side, law enforcement may investigate, and intelligence structures may become involved. This is where the UK systems intersect: cybersecurity, crime, and national security. Now let's step back. What makes the UK cybercrime investigation model distinctive? First, it is centralised at the reporting level through Action Fraud and the NFIB. Second, it is distributed at the policing level through many forces. Third, it is supported regionally through ROCUs. Fourth, it is escalated nationally through the NCA. And fifth, it is increasingly connected to financial systems and international partners. Now, I'm going to give you one more opinion. The UK is moving toward treating cybercrime as an economic and national resilience threat, not just a policing problem, because cybercrime is now a permanent tax on society. It drains money, it drains trust, it drains productivity, and it disproportionately harms small businesses and individuals who have the least ability to defend themselves. So the future of UK cybercrime response is not just more arrests, it is more prevention, more disruption, more baseline security, more fraud controls, and better coordination between the public and private sectors. Let's end with a practical takeaway. If you are in the UK, you should think of cybercrime reporting like this. Reporting is not only about your individual case, it is also about feeding the national picture. It is about building intelligence. And it is about enabling disruption. And if you run a business, the best protection is not hoping the police will solve ransomware. The best protection is building resilience before it happens. Backups, segmentation, identity controls, supplier security, and incident response planning. Because in the UK system, cybercrime is treated as a permanent reality, and the winners are the organisations that are prepared. If you want the next logical video after this, watch my UK cybersecurity video on how the NCSC and critical national infrastructure protection actually work. Because cybercrime is only one part of the national cyber system. And if you want UK tech explained properly, subscribe. This channel is building the full map